Independent commission investigating the Lewiston mass shootings continued their hearings this morning.
Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Vasquez with the Army Reserve testified before the panel. He was questioned on the report of mental status evaluation, which had a multitude of recommendations regarding the mental health of the gunman reservist Robert Card.
After an incident that led to Card being hospitalized for 2 weeks during summer training, the report included recommendations to the commander, such as follow-up appointments for Card and staying engaged to observe his pace. Vasquez said multiple times he had limitations on enforcing Card to continue mental health treatments and limitations on removing weapons from his home.
Other Army reservists, including Sean Hodgson, witnessed the decline of Card's mental health as he told supervisors he believed Card could snap. Former federal prosecutor questioned Vasquez on how Card seemed after the evaluation.
After his discharge from Four Winds, was Sergeant Card considered fit for duty?
He had what's called a medical profile, which means that he had some limitations. And I think I talked about it earlier on the medical profile. It said he was a low threat, keep him away from essentially weapons because of the medication he's on. So he wasn't fit for total duty at that time. He hadn't been through a medical evaluation board yet. At that point, once you go through the board process, someone at a much different level than me determines that.
Army officials indicated a report from their review could be available early this summer.
The Lewiston Commission
is expected to release a final report on the shootings this summer as well.